Well, good evening, everyone. So we are fresh off listening to the Jesus prayer and praying that. I'm hoping everybody, and beginning to with Proverbs. We're up to chapter 21 now, so we'll be jumping right into it. Really had a great time last week as we got through 19 and 20, I believe, to arrive where we are. So, who would like to kick us off with chapter 21 of Proverbs? We will go, let's take it through. Hmm. Righteous one, shuts us from the poor. This is really, it's got a lot of continuity in this chapter, so it really doesn't stop. Let's just pick a manageable amount and then move through that. So let's go 1 through 12. We'd like to go 1 through 12.
Okay, I'll do it.
Okay.
Okay, the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. Like the rivers of water, he turns it wherever he wishes. Every way of a man is right in his own eyes, but the Lord weighs the hearts. To do righteousness and justice is more acceptable to the Lord than sacrifice. A haughty look, a proud heart, and the plowing of the wicked are sin. The plans of the diligent lead surely to plenty, but those of everyone who is hasty surely to poverty. Getting treasures by a lying tongue is the fleeting fantasy of those who seek death. The violence of the wicked will destroy them because they refuse to do justice. The way of a guilty man is perverse, but as for the pure, his work is right. Better to dwell in the house of a housetop than in a house shared with a contented woman. The soul of the wicked desires evil. His neighbor finds no favor in his eyes. When the scoffer is punished, the simple is made wise. When the wise is instructed, he receives knowledge. The righteous God wisely considers the house of the wicked, overthrowing the wicked for their wickedness.
Okay.
And
So, who would like to start us off? Anyone find one that they just really latch on to? What stands out for them?
I like 3, but
Three.
my translation's a little different.
What does yours say?
The Lord is more pleased when we do what is right and just than when we offer him sacrifices.
Yes.
And I was just
Well,
thinking, it sounds like you're trying to buy your way into heaven and you can't.
Right.
what's the thing that Samuel said to Saul when Saul hurried up his own sacrifice? Wasn't that this kind of paraphrase? Where is this also quoted?
I think it's in Psalms, but I'm not
Yes.
100% sure.
Yeah, let me see. That's got 3.
You do.
I think so.
3. Samuel, Psalms 15:8. Let's see if that's right. Must be, right? Psalm
Oh, you didn't go to it.
No.
15:8. There's no 15:8. Wait a minute now. I read that wrong. Oh no. It's Proverbs 15:8, so it's a repeat of Proverbs 15:8. Isaiah 1:11. Isaiah, let's see, Samuel 15:22. Maybe that's what Carolee's talking about. Let's see.
I remember things. Sometimes I remember them correctly.
Let's see. Samuel 15:22 is.
Nope, that's not it.
That's not it.
Oh,
Let's see.
maybe it was even Jesus. I don't know. I'll figure it out someday.
You said Proverbs 15:8,
Yes.
and that's yeah, almost the same as 21:3, but it's backwards.
Isaiah.
The sacrifice of the wicked is an abomination to the Lord, but the prayer of the upright is his delight. To do righteousness and justice is more acceptable to the Lord than sacrifice. It's almost the same.
Mhm.
Let's see. That does sound the same. 21:3. Proverbs, yeah.
I think in Psalms it says a contrite heart. That's a little different.
Mm-hmm. Obedience is better than sacrifice.
I have to, in my head, to obey is better than sacrifice or greater than sacrifice, something.
Obey, that's in a
Hosea 6, chapter 6, verse 6, for I desire mercy, not sacrifice, and acknowledgement of God rather than burnt offerings.
Jesus said that in Matthew as well. He was quoting that in Matthew.
Yeah, I bet I'm doing Matthew.
And what it's, I desire, what did you say, Jay? I desire.
For I desire mercy, not sacrifice, and acknowledgement of God rather than burnt offerings.
Is that saying that he desires people to be merciful to others, and
Yes,
rather than sacrificing to him?
I think so. Not sacrifice
so.
and acknowledgement of God rather than burnt offerings.
Okay, so yeah, just to acknowledge God and being merciful to others is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I go before God and I offer all these great sacrifices and then I kicked my neighbor's kid for walking on my grass, then my sacrifices to God don't mean anything because I'm not living by them. I'm doing it as the show tool to God. I'll show God how much I love him and show God how much I am devoted, and then I don't live by that. So God says, I don't care if you don't show me your sacrifice, live it.
Well, you read the Old Testament, and there was so much sacrifice when David moved the ark to Jerusalem. I mean, they slaughtered. I can't remember. It's unbelievable. I mean, you can't comprehend it. How many thousands of animals were sacrificed?
Mm-hmm.
Tens of thousands, probably.
That was Hosea
6,
what?
Chapter 6, verse 6. Froze.
No, it didn't freeze.
No. Contrite. There's somewhere in Psalms.
It's Psalm 51. The sacrifices of God are broken spirit, a broken and contrite heart.
Yes.
You, God, will not despise.
Yeah, it's 15. 1 Samuel. I think Carol Lee is probably talking about this. It is 15:22. To obey God is better than to sacrifice. 1 Samuel 15:22.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's
It's a theme in the Old Testament, isn't it? It's
Probably because it was so often broken. I mean, we have that same ticket punch. I mean, that's a human failing, not just a
yes, this is it.
Yeah.
15, like 22, 23, it's the whole
Yeah.
deal.
Yep. It's the showing, I'll show you how good I am, but then I don't live that. I just speak it. And we see it all the time, don't we? We see it in a lot of politics and other places where, put on a show to get all the good graces, and then in actuality, ick. But God doesn't get fooled by the sacrifices. God's, letting us know that you're being ridiculous by offering these sacrifices because I see you when you're not doing that. You can fool your neighbor, but you can't fool me. So that's
Well,
silly.
in Jesus' time, there was this huge thing about offerings,
Sure.
and win friends and influence people, make a very ceremonious contribution.
Yeah.
And then Jesus says, yeah, that little woman over there who gave her 2 cents.
She gave more, didn't she?
Yeah.
Well, you just can't sin like crazy and offer a goat.
There you go.
All right, what's another one?
Now that we've gone down the rabbit hole, that one.
I had I know what who read it was Steve, you read, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's number 6? Read your number 6 again.
Getting treasure by a lying tongue is the fleeting fantasy of those who seek death.
Yeah. So mine
Um,
says a fortune made by a lying tongue is a fleeting vapor and a deadly snare. So that's an
Make
interesting.
a fortune with the help of a lying tongue, such the idle fantasy of those who look for death.
Interesting, because if you think about my translation versus the other two translations, it's a little bit different, isn't it? Because it's saying that the
Yeah.
lying tongue is a snare that catches me, that I'm caught in, and then propels me toward death. Whereas the other ones are saying that a lying tongue is a tool of death.
Well, a lot of these are sort of summarized in Matthew. Then, you know, the thing about what is it? Treasure. People who have riches have their treasure, and then treasure in. But everybody. People who have faith have their treasure in heaven.
Sure. Yeah, storing up your treasure where your heart is there also.
I can't remember the exact paraphrase of it, but
Where your treasure is, there
Yeah.
will your heart be also.
that's it.
Yeah. Yep. Let's see. Fortune maker. Violence of the wicked will drag them away. They refuse to do what is right. The way of the guilty is devious, but the conduct of the innocent is upright. We got the wicked man craves evil. His neighbor gets no mercy from him. The mocker is punished. The simple gain wisdom. When a wise man is instructed, he gets knowledge. So then we're getting back to the juxtaposition, the bad guy and the good guy type thing. The righteous, this is 12. Mine says the righteous one takes note of the house of the wicked and brings the wicked to ruin. What was yours on 12, Steve?
The righteous God wisely considers the house of the wicked, overthrowing the wicked for their wickedness.
Yeah.
Uh,
I have the just one washes the house of the wicked. He hurls the wicked to destruction.
Yeah.
Basically it's saying that if you're wicked, you're gonna pay later.
Yeah. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
But you know, the reality is we hear this as a repeat in Proverbs over and over again. So it says as we move forward, it's not just where you're going to wind up, it's where you're actually living now, because the conduct of your life will prescribe that end. So that you think you're happy, you think you're satisfied, you think you're all these things, but you're really not. And the unsettled mind and heart is a witness against the corruption, the practice of life. You know, the person metaphorically who's always looking behind themselves or always wondering who's watching, who's watching me. That nervous sort of otherly focus is because there's no peace. There's no settled. I'm not settled. I've chosen a life where I run myself by my deceit. And so I expect deceit or see deceit wherever I go. All right, who'd like to run 13 through, let's go through 23.
I'll do it.
All right.
Those who shut their ears to the cries of the poor will be ignored in their own time of need. A secret gift calms anger. A bribe under the table pacifies fury. Justice is a joy to the godly, but it terrifies evildoers. The person who strays from common sense will end up in the company of the dead. Those who love pleasure become poor. Those who love wine and luxury will never be rich. The wicked are punished in place of the godly, and traitors in the place of the honest. It's better to live alone in the desert than with a quarrelsome, complaining wife. The wise have
It keeps coming up.
the wise have wealth and luxury, but fools spend whatever they get. Whoever pursues righteousness and unfailing love will find life, righteousness, and honor. One more.
Yeah.
The wise conquer the city of the strong, and the evil and level the fortress in which they trust.
Okay.
Now,
All right. I
see.
know one of them we're going to go to. What's what everybody think?
20 is the one that struck me.
20.
There is desirable what was yours, Sharon?
20.
Yeah.
The wise have wealth and luxury, but fools spend whatever they get.
Yeah. And 20 says, mine is, there is desirable treasure and oil in the house and oil in the dwelling of the wise, but a foolish man squanders it.
Mhm.
And mine is,
Hey,
in
that-
a wise man's dwelling, there is precious treasure and oil. The fool will gobble it up.
Okay, better.
So basically what they're saying is the wise I guess husband their resources, and the foolish just spend it.
Yeah. Yeah, we have that. Remember the so last verse in chapter 20 and then again in 19, there were verses that talked about the fool who doesn't do their work in the proper time. They take their pleasure, or they take their sloth. They don't plant in in due season. They don't work when they need to, and so they are bereft in the winter. They don't have food, or they don't have the fruition that they're supposed to have. Being foolish or being self-serving leads to that type of difficulty of incompleteness. Remembering too, remember a lot of these are a metaphor. They're practical. They're real. Someone who doesn't plant in the summer was not going to eat in the winter. But that's also a metaphor for the way we conduct ourselves spiritually and in relationship.
A little trouble with the complaining wife.
Let's
Hey,
see.
Sharon, can you read 14 again?
14.
Yeah.
A secret gift calms anger. A bribe under the table pacifies fury.
Okay.
I'm sure yours is clearer and longer. You got that
No, I love those
Jerusalem
idioms.
Bible. You got the Jerusalem Bible, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
Anger is mollified by a covert gift, raging fury by a bribe under cover of the cloak. But under the table is better.
A gift in secret pacifies anger, and a bribe behind the back strong wrath.
Hmm.
What about the complaining wife one? That was 19. Am I the only one that has that?
No.
There's,
no.
Better to dwell in the wilderness than with a contentious and angry woman.
Uh,
yes. There is another one.
Where is the witchy wife?
That's 19.
19.
Oh, yeah.
There's several of those in
Yeah,
Proverbs.
verse 9 was better to live on the corner of a roof than to share a house with a quarrelsome wife. So that's 19 and 9 are kind of
We should do a
Yeah.
mathematical analysis and see how often the witchy wife comes up.
better to live in the desert with a quarrelsome wife and quarrelsome wife. So you remember the period in time in which this was written. So you were talking about obedience,
Mm.
obedience, and if not in private, then in public. But it's also assuming that the man is following the will or personage of God more completely than the wife, because the woman hasn't been taught. the man has. Women doesn't go to school. Women didn't learn the Torah. Women didn't read the scripture. Women relied upon the men to teach them, to show them, or to help them understand. So if the man's at home and he's saying this is what needs to be done, and the wife is quarreling with him that that's not right, then that is not looking to the authority where the authority has. Now, that's not perfect, right? That's not perfect, but the illustration is apt if we take it just from, instead of saying women, but the one who doesn't know, not listening to the one who apparently does. So again, remember, we've had this discussion for a few years now, talking about how in our culture and society right now, and it has been growing, it's that everybody who has an opinion is right. If I have an opinion, then I'm right. That's just it. And it doesn't matter what the facts are. It's my opinion, it's my idea, and I'm right. So we've taken this to an art form now where we don't listen to people who have any authority. We just have an opinion and we have to share it, and then we have to tell everybody else they're wrong and get angry and storm out of the room because we think that it must be correct. Can't be wrong. It's impossible. So it has taken it's moved from the place of authority and apparent knowledge to a place of simple desire or understanding. I understand it this way, so it's correct, which is crazy. It's to say I have an opinion about it is not, that's fine. But to say that my opinion's right when I don't know anything about it except for my opinion that's just arrogance. So for the wife here is just the example of
David's
somebody.
wife Abigail,
Mhm.
who refused to feed David's army.
Yes.
And then David said, "Oh, you're gonna pay."
Mm.
And then the wife comes out and treats them admirably. And the husband does, I've forgotten what horrible medical catastrophe, but because he was pissed, I think because he was pissed because she did the right thing.
Hmm.
So I don't think it's just lack of knowledge here. I think it's being a jerk, being a bitch, that stuff. Like
Sure.
I've been to Steve this week.
I wouldn't
Sure.
have minded if it had said it's better to live alone in the desert than with a stupid husband.
Well, yeah. So so it's just,
Yeah, you're safer.
I think if it was written today, it would be an equal opportunity insult, right? It would be both and. It's not just one. It's just the time that it was written, and this is the example it's given. But when all the more if you lived in that period in time, and you saw somebody whose wife was misbehaving, and you knew that the husband was a jerk, and in his proper time wasn't doing what he should be doing at all, the scandal's greater on the husband than it is on the wife. The wife's just a greater victim because the husband's perpetrating it on the wife without taking responsibility on it for himself. So it's not meant to just point out women or the wife in this. It's the time and the example, but the offense is just as great. If a woman is doing in the same way, like what Carolee is saying is, I think the example there is that if the wife then does something specifically to upshow the husband in front of everybody else, that's just as bad. If the intention is to disgrace the other person, whether it's a husband or a wife or a child, the intention is to bring ridicule or shame on someone else. That's pretty awful too. May not be maybe the only recourse we think we have, but it's the intention behind it is part of it. So the husband who's intending to lord it over the wife is horrible and wrong. Now the wife that's intending to disgrace the husband is horrible and wrong. It's both. So I'm taking from the other direction, saying besides that it's the if the husband in this proverb, and I think this is supposed to be correct, is supposed to be doing the right thing and speaking the right words, and the wife is not listening. So let's just take it bigger than that. So the husband is God, the wife is the church, right? The bride of Christ. So Christ says, do this, don't do that. And the bride says, oh, I know better. I can do what I want to do. And we have that. I mean, nobody has to say where we come down on this. We just look at the world because we have 1,500 different Christian faiths, Christian denominations, and some of them are doing stuff that's completely and utterly wrong. Which ones are they? When you have Christian denominations that are all the way over there doing all this stuff, and you have Christian denominations that are all the way over there doing that stuff, then somebody's not doing the right stuff. That's just the bottom line. You know, you can't go to the Gospels and have Jesus or find in the Scripture where God just says, "Hey, do whatever you want." Not there. So if God doesn't say do whatever you want, then somebody's right and somebody is not. Somebody is obeying and somebody isn't. So we don't have to decide who that is at the moment. It's just the way that we live. And that's why I went back to opinions. I mean, if we have our opinion is always going to be at odds with the authority, because we are the authority. We may get lucky. What does it say? A broken clock's right twice a day. So maybe my ill-conceived, unlearned opinion is actually correct because I'm lucky that way. But the chances are that the other 23 hours of the day or 22 hours of the day, I'm going to be wrong. And the more difficulty comes when I believe that the 2 hours that I'm correct actually are indicative of the other 22, which I think is closer to where our culture and society is right now than not. And remember, we've talked about this before, when you have the political process is the deaf screaming at the deaf. You know, even if you're right, I won't listen to you because I cannot appear to be wrong. So that means continuing to extol my opinion and my idea, even though I know I'm wrong, because I can't appear to be wrong in front of other people, which is just dishonest and manipulative. Again, look at this in the context of the church rather than a husband and a wife. The church extolling itself because of its own ideas and virtue is not being faithful to the husband, which is Christ, the bride of Christ and Christ. Let's see. He who pursues righteousness and love finds life, prosperity, and honor. What was yours, Carolee? That's 21.
He who pursues virtue and kindness shall find life and honor too.
Kindness.
Yeah, virtue and kindness.
Okay, really? I mean, really? When does that happen? He who pursues righteousness and kindness or love finds life, prosperity, and honor. When would that be true?
When would it not be true?
After death.
Yeah, if it happens. So this really can help us move the image of the writing from the human sphere into the spiritual sphere. If I am a person who is pursuing righteousness and kindness or love in the name of Jesus Christ or in the name of the Father, I will find life, prosperity, and honor in the arms of Christ, or in the companionship with the Father and the relationship with the Holy Spirit. I may not find it with my wife or my kids or my neighbor or my uncle or my aunt or my dog. And so I'll be left alone and lonely and bereft in this life, in my living. But my spiritual life is really is what we're talking about here, our spiritual following. We find that
Yeah,
peace.
I think it's a thing of life. You know, if you're known as somebody who does the right thing and is unfailingly kind,
Hmm.
you have a happy life, you have honor. I don't think you have to go anywhere. I think that's our now.
That's what it seems like, because it mentions honor. And I don't think
Yeah.
of that so much in heaven as you're honored.
Nah.
You know, it's more an earthly kind of thing.
Now, people are given crowns in heaven. That's an honor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, people who are upright and righteous don't seek honor or honors. The honors come from other people given to them.
But
So
they get it nevertheless.
we know lots of people in history and in the papers and the news in our lifetime, just in the last 10, 15 years, people that we know that have been famous, that have been upright and honest and righteous and honorable people who've been vivisected in the news and torn apart in their process of their life because they were right. And the other people don't want that to be the case, so they tear them apart and continue to do it. I know one person that even in right now, was this in the news again? He's been dead for, I don't know how many years now, 4 or 5 years, and he was just in the news again, being held up in a terrible, horrible way by the other person who just has to keep destroying his reputation, because if he was right and true and honorable and a good guy, then what he said was worth listening to.
Who is this person?
Oh, I can't say. I'm going to say that the other people cannot let him be an honorable man, because if he was an honorable man and he said the right thing, then the people who are not honorable would be wrong, and they can't do that. So they spend their time tearing him up and tearing him down and continuing to insult his life and his legacy, because they can't let him be correct. And they did that when he was living. It's not just when he's dead. So a person who's trying to act in a godly way, in a righteous way, follow the Lord, a lot of times is not appreciated for that, because that comes at odds with the people who want power and authority. They don't want to live a honest or humble life. And the person who is asking them to do that, let's see, who's the most famous man who died for this?
Jesus.
Jimmy Carter.
Yeah. Somebody who's being humble, is not extolling themselves, really is just saying you need to follow God, you need to, humble yourself and put yourself in front of God. And the people who are in authority said, no way, I'm not going to humble myself. Who does this guy think he is? We know what we need to do. We need to shut him up. Because if we don't shut him up and people start listening to him, then they're going to start calling for us to step down. And we can't have that. Righteousness and truth and honor and honesty doesn't always get you the good place in this world. It's going to be the next one, or just in your relationship. This goes back to the martyrs, right? The martyrs being killed for the glory of God. They're not being honored, but yet they're going off to their martyrdom singing songs and spiritual hymns, because they find their consolation in the companionship of God. All right, who wants to read 23 to the end? 23 to 31.
I'll read it. He who keeps watch over his mouth and his tongue preserves himself from disaster. Arrogant, haughty, his name is mocker. Overweening pride marks his behavior.
Mm-hmm.
The idler's desires are the death of him, since his hands will do no work. The godless is forever coveting. The virtuous man gives without ever refusing. The sacrifice of wicked men is abhorrent, above all when they offer for bad motives. The false witness will meet his doom, but the speech of the obedient will always be heard. The wicked man assumes an air of confidence. The honest man gives his own conduct careful thought. Neither wisdom nor prudence nor advice can stand in the Lord's presence. The horse is caparison for the day of battle, but to the victory belongs. I don't know that word.
The horse is what?
It's CAPARISONED.
CAP.
Anybody else know that word?
CAP.
What does your will have the horse done to?
Mine is prepared.
Yeah.
Oh,
Spell it
I have
again.
to look it up.
What is it? CAP what? What was the spelling, Carolee?
It's CAPARISONED.
CAPARISONED. That's a great word. I don't know what that word is either. Wow.
Yeah.
Sue, you don't know? You're a horsey person.
My translation says the horse is equipped for the day of battle, but victory is the Lord. So if you think about it, with people throughout history going into battle with the horse, they're going to put the saddle on the horse. They're going to get everything they need on the horse. They're going to have their sword. They're going to have their spear. They're going to have, the bridle on the horse that they can steer it. They're going to have everything they need to keep themselves on the horse and safe on the horse, and then go into battle and win the battle. But really, if you win the battle, the victory is God's. That's how I'm seeing this.
I think you're right. So this will be your an add to your equestrian notebook. It is the second definition is to provide with or as with an ornamental covering, and then it says specifically an ornamental covering for a horse.
So you think of the knights during the medieval times, and the horse also had metal on it. It had metal on its face,
Mm.
metal on the crest of its neck. It had actually the cloth that went across the body to identify who was riding it or which side it was on. So yeah.
Neat.
It just covers everything you would do
Protects it against.
to get ready. Everything in detail, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Now, Carolee, can you read 25 and 26 together again?
The idler desires are the death of him, since his hands will do no work. The godless is forever coveting. The virtuous man gives without ever refusing.
Okay. And how about 28?
The false witness will meet his doom, but the speech of the obedient will always be heard.
Interesting. What does somebody else's say? What does yours say? So
Which one is it?
28.
The false witness will perish, but he who listens will finally have his say.
Well, mine says, but the false witness shall perish, but the man who hears him will speak endlessly. That's kind of a weird way to say.
Wow.
I'm not even sure what that's saying.
Mine says a false witness will be cut off, but a credible witness will be allowed to speak.
Wow.
That's
yours-
much clearer than
Totally
mine.
different.
So, well, yeah, it's totally different because Sharon's and Carolee's are together, but Susan and Steve's and mine, I think, are together. I'm willing to bet with Jay's. So they are. This is one of those where they flipped it to try to make it easier to understand.
But
has-
this is
Go ahead.
it's weird. A false witness shall perish, but the man who hears him, and you'd think that him is the false witness, will speak endlessly. So if you listen to the false witness, you just keep on talking.
Okay, I'm getting it. I got it. Okay. Now, what was yours again, Carolee?
I'm not getting it.
The false witness will meet his doom, but the speech of the obedient will always be heard.
Interesting. Okay, so that's the flip side. So for yours, Steve, what it's saying is the false witness will meet their doom, but the person who listens to the false witness and continues to repeat it will be destroyed forever, will meet their doom forever, will be run over forever. Mine just simply says will be destroyed forever. Whereas Carolee's is the opposite. She's saying the false witness will meet their doom, but the one who speaks the truth will live on. So there it says
People keep listening to him.
right.
I like
the ones who
Carolee's
listen-
a lot better than mine.
Yeah. The one who listens to him will be destroyed forever, and the one who doesn't listen to him will have life.
In my translation, nobody dies.
You get the G-rated one then, right?
I
Right,
love
that's-
Bible verse shopping.
Yeah.
Oh, that one and that one.
So before we sign off, I want to go back to 31 because it kept ringing a bell for me, the comparison thing. And I worked for several years with my daughter who worked with a joust company, and her husband was a knight in the joust company, and she was the lead squire. She took care of all the ground stuff. She took care of all the horses, and she trained us who were also squires. And the comparison is the cloth that goes on the horse. So let me see if I can show it to you.
Ah,
Do you see it? Do you see the comparison?
Oh,
on the
like a
Oh,
split
yeah.
skirt, kind of.
Yeah, beautiful.
So it goes underneath the tack, and it's for protection, but it's also for identification of which side
Huh.
they're riding for.
oh,
Yeah.
Neat.
Yay. Another
Cool.
word.
Yes. Too many words.
what's
Hey,
the
we were in
correct?
Greece for about 10 days, and all of a sudden I could read a word. I saw it everywhere.
Oh,
O-D-O-Z, I think. It was everywhere. Odos, Odos, Odos. It was street. You know, Papadakoulos Street. It was Odos, Papadakoulos. I couldn't read the blah, 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 but I could read Odos
now you know
in
we
capital letters.
now you
Only
can
if
get
it was
a-
in capital letters.
get along. At least you know the street signs, so probably from the other one.
Yeah, it was about the 5th Street sign that I realized, no, wait, they're all Odos.
All Odo.
All of them. You're going to be so lost.
Well, guys, this is great. Thank you so much. We're on to 22. I'll make my little start here for next time, and we will hit up where we left off. And if it's killing you who I was talking about, then I could tell you in a minute when we sign off. So God bless you all. Have a wonderful night. We'll catch you on Sunday, if not sooner. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Steve, I have to ask you something.